Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for the latest episode of Supernatural Galaxy Brain. And, God, this episode is not the worst episode that I've seen. But it has vast problems that just fuck up everything. There's more kind of lore breaking, there's just dead spots throughout where there's really nothing happening, and it just feels that this subplot gets thrown in for no reason and then it is extended out, and we're somehow bookended with two important pieces of information: the beginning and the end. You could literally just watch the beginning and the end and you would be fine. Like, literally, you. Wow. I'm sorry, I'm just thinking about it, and it's just like, God. So, we open up, and we see this awkward thing going on. We open up, it's like, hey, this is Earth 2, 4 weeks ago, or whatnot. And we see that this Earth's got two moons. Okay. You'll see why I'm talking about the details that are implemented for what we get a feel of for Earth 2 as this continues going on. So, we pretty much see Earth 2's Radio Shack. This dude's just like, yeah, I'm working here. This chick's like, what the hell? Kind of creepy. Goes out. We see a thing that the radio's talking about Hillary Clinton getting ready for re-election. I'm like, okay, I understand you're trying to give us a feel for this world, but why do we need that? Wouldn't there be other kind of things in there? I don't mind certain things of different kind of things going on in these worlds, but when we get to the end of this episode, well, not even the end, when we get to the end of this opening part, you will realize that this is for nothing. So we see that Chuck comes in and starts doing a monologue. Inserting a God character is a problematic part of what can go on in a story. You have to be careful of his omnipotence and his omnipresence, and being like omnipotent and being like all powerful and omniscient, knowing everything that's going on. You have to deal things into the story to make sure that they don't break it. Preacher does a pretty good job of that because that God was afraid of the entity of what was going on with the preacher, who was able to pretty much command people to do whatever he wanted. And his arrogance led to him not seeing the foregone outcomes of what happened at the end of that show. This just does whatever. As we see that Chuck literally talks about monologuing and saying that, like, yeah, I created the universe and everything, I created the Earth and all that, and I just wanted to keep creating. So he kept creating all these different scenarios, all these different Sams and Deans, but of course our Dean and our Sam are the special ones, because they can surprise him, they disappoint him, they do all these kind of unpredictable things. And then he comes to the epiphany that there's just too much. There's too much alternate realities, subplots, failed spin-offs. I kind of like that line. It's just like, okay, that's a little bit funny, haha. And so he decides to start destroying all of the alternate worlds and failed subplots and everything like that. The problematic portion comes into effect of we're essentially pretty much killing off one of the, well, not killing off, it didn't frickin' work to begin with, of the subplot of like the Wayward Sisters kind of thing, because it doesn't completely focus on the Wayward Sisters, but it focuses on the fallout of, hey, that plot shit's just like dangling over there for some reason, and it's like, alright, so that's how we get to what's going on here. We then delve into what's going on at the bunker and the subplots in there out. And it is really just like a subplot that was expanded to filth time. We see that when God did put on, alright, this is important and it needs to be addressed. God was watching them in the bunker on a TV while he was destroying all these alternate realities, multiverses, and everything. Okay? That's important because he's doing that while it's going on. We are specifically shown this, and then it is not brought back up again until the end. that is important for what starts happening in the subplot because there's a gigantic plot hole that kind of pops up as this is going on. So we see that Sam is worried about Jack not having a soul, and it's really kind of strange because the interaction we've had with Jack so far doesn't lend credence to the fact that he has no soul. Now, granted, he pretty much burned through his soul to kill alternate reality Michael, but he's not acting that much different. He acts like he cares about people. He actually cares about a person in here. There's like... they don't really stay consistent on what it means to not have a soul. Soulless Sam gave no fucks and no shits whatsoever. He did whatever the fuck he wanted, and he didn't have a conscience for any of that fact. He banged who he wanted, he killed who he wanted, he did what he wanted. The soulless Jack that we got had a problem of trying to figure out the morality of certain situations. We kind of have that in here, but not really. He's like predisposed to do the right thing because the plot kind of demands it. We don't really have that much tension of what's going on here. So we see Sam trying to figure out with that. We see that Jack is... We have to have this scene where he's talking with this Reaper Merle, and she's like, just follow Death's plan. He's like, yep. Sam kind of hears outside, goes in, checks on Jack, and goes out. And it's just awkward. There's really strange kind of pauses and things where nothing happens. So Sam's like, hey, you good and everything? Like, yeah. No, I wasn't talking to anybody. And it's like, this is supernatural. You know? So, he's probably talking to someone and probably keeping something, but it's not pressed. And we see Sam awkwardly leave. It's like, alright. While this is going on, we see that Jody is inspecting a cow that was killed. We then see a cloaked individual run into the barn. Jody then gets captured because the plot demands it, and I honestly think that she could have at least gave a 1-2 for who we find out is the person. So she calls them. Whoever has her captured is, surprise, surprise, the Dark Kaya chick. Yes, that whole thing has been resurrected for Miller. So they're like, fine, we'll come to the barn, whatever. They go there, and she's like, where's my spear? I want to go home. I broke your spear. She's like, fine, just let me go home. I'm like, okay. Evidently, it's not that fucking important because it was only a MacGuffin to try and kill A.U. Michael that one time, so it's like, oh, whatever, it served its purpose. It's not like she'd be pissed about it. She's like, I need to go home. Why do you need to go home? Because I've been having visions because your Kaya is still alive and has been over there for like 2 years. I'm like, what? Fuck would you bring Kaya back? Greatest hits just resurrecting people, willy-nilly, just whatever. But this is to get us into the thing because she's saying that her world's dying, and it gives them the information that God is going around destroying all the other different universes, but isn't doing it to this one. So they're like, fine, whatever. They capture. She wants, of course, Jack to do his portal open thingy, and he's like, no, I can't, because if I do that, God will see me. Spoiler alert, kid. He's already been looking in on you guys and would fucking know that you're there. So this whole kind of charade of like him, he's like looking at the TV, he fucking was looking in on Cass and me and Sam talking, and they were talking about Jack. He knows you're fucking alive. So this whole thing, this whole moral quandary of, should I use my powers to save this chick on this dying world? Sure. I mean, I understand that they're trying to do, it's a dumb right thing to do. Is one life worth sacrificing all of existence for, because you're the one shot of reigning in a tyrannical god? Yeah, that would be great if it was executed well. This is just like you're opening plot holes of like, he already knows that you're going to do the thing. But they're just like, alright, so we spend a good chunk of the time trying to find every which way but loose to do this, but of course Jack is then forced to do it. They even found out some way to do it that would require a certain monster's liver, but evidently John Winchester killed that a couple years ago. It's not like time travel or anything had been used within this show at any point that could have been used to kind of go back to when it was plentiful or when John Winchester killed that thing in order to do that. That would just have been kind of a different kind of thing, but yet the plot doesn't demand that. So they pretty much get into these situations to force more of what's going on. Sam and Dean are trying to figure out what's going on. Jack goes in to check on Cass and Jody, and evidently this is the first time Cass and Jody have pretty much met. And Cass is trying to get in touch with Sergei, is not able to. Jody's like, I need to do this for Claire because if she goes and figures out that she's dead again, it'll kill her. I'm just like, okay, because she's been like going around trying to find Dark Kai and kick her ass for all these years. Which, it's funny because we do get a thing of she's in like Yosemite and she doesn't get cell reception there. Otherwise they would call her and be like, hey, we got that chick that killed your potential boo. Yeah. But she's doing it to protect Claire. So they get to the point, and Jack's like, fine, I'll do this. The Reaper's like, no, you won't. And they're like, why don't you just... Jack pretty much argues her into pretty much helping them. She's like, well, I could go get Billy right now. And it's like, because this had all started because Jack had been trying to do a prayer to Billy. Billy, of course, was unable to call and come. So she sent the Reaper. Reaper's like, fine, but we'll have to upgrade the warding in this back to what it was, because evidently it was warded against even cosmic level threats. So they had to figure out this one thing. Cass needed to help her for some odd ass reason, and it gets upgraded a little bit so Jack can use his power to snap open a rift. Now, the thing is, it is important to know, we only see Chuck in like the alternate Earth 2 in kind of the beginning and kind of towards the end. There's no point in this where they've upgraded the warding where it's taken back to like Chuck sitting there and the screen goes fuzzy or he doesn't know what's going on. So, under those assumptions, we have no idea if this spell worked at all, especially since Billy shows up and understands that something had happened. If Billy knows, Chuck knows, and if Chuck knows, they're fucked. So, we're just going in the circle because plot demands it. I don't nitpick. These are big, gaping, fucking things. These don't need to be here, and these could have been done in a better kind of way. So, Jack opens it up, and we get this like little spiel of Jody and Cass having a little, I say a little fight because Jody's like, I'm gonna go in there and get my one daughter's girlfriend back. And Cass is like, I wouldn't do that because if something goes wrong over there, she then loses you and her again, and that'll kill her. Okay. Claire's only important to me for her effect of what would happen to Cass and Jody. Other than that, I don't give a crap about Claire as a character because they've done nothing with her. So Jody's like, yeah, you're right, Cass, yeah. So Sam, Dean, and Dark Kai go in there. They're seeing that the world's all... And these fucking weird-ass things come out, and they're like, no, they're just scared because of that. And I'm like, they were like the laziest monster introduction that served no purpose. It's like, oh yeah, they're gonna surround us, and I'm like, we'll fight! And, no, you're not. They're just scared because the world's ending. Anything would be. It's like, okay, if they were scared the world's ending, I wouldn't fucking surround some weird-ass motherfuckers. I'd just be like, partying like it's 1999. So, they go and they find Kaya in a hut, and she's evidently been surviving for 2 years by singing a lullaby nursery rhyme song. Whatever. And Dark Kaya just wanted to go home. They pretty much hug it out. She's like, I'm just going to stay here and die. Alright, fine, cool, whatever. Like, literally, they do a kind of like linger a little bit, but seriously, if that crazy ass bitch I said, I'm just gonna stay here and die, the minute I had heard the end, if I had just heard, I'm gonna stay here, or like, no, I wouldn't have even like questioned. I just would have went like Sam and Dean and Kaya should have been like, whatever. Because Dark Kaya, her purpose is done. Her plot object status is done. And her and the world gets. And so they come back. They're celebrating. They're like, ooh, yay, ooh, yay. Jack has given Kaya clothes. And she's like, what are you going to do now? It's like, I don't know. Jody's going to take her home and all that kind of stuff. And they leave. We also see that Merle's like, oh, good job, all that. And then Billy pops up and shanks her ass with her Reaper scythe. Well, with Death Scythe. And then we get the other kind of plot info dump because we got Chuck's info dump of they're going to be getting rid of all the subplots. Never mind that this whole season has almost been just enormous amounted use of subplots. We then get the most kind of pertinent information. And this information at the end with Billy pretty much seals that information and this setup should have been used from the first episode. We are over halfway through this season, and now we get the more clearly defined goal of what should have been laid down at the beginning. Okay? So she's talking about how we got to be careful and that God has built these worlds as a certain clockwork kind of thing that they could work in his absence. So that's setting up that even if God is killed, the world would go on. But never mind the fact that you still don't have cosmic balance because Amara, as the darkness, would then be able to do whatever she would, thereby returning the universe to its nothing kind of state until another godlike deity would pop up. I don't know if this is setting up like Sam and Dean to be God in the darkness or whatnot, but we'll kind of have to see. Because if you're ever dealing within mystical kind of universal realms of cosmic balance, you have to take that very seriously. You can't just willy-nilly destroy like one part of the structure and not expect the whole rest of the system to be taken down. You pretty much have to get into a realm of something is going to have to take that thing's place, or you're going to have to rip the whole goddamn thing down and fuck it. Because it'll then spiral out of control. So, that's laying that down. That, okay, it wouldn't matter if Chuck was taken out. Billy, of course, bringing up when Cass had killed her and how she got all of Death's stuff and how she was into the rules and everything like that. And it's kind of weird that she's making Jack be used as a weapon to destroy Chuck and saying that, like, everybody's got a death book and that this is pretty much what's going on for Chuck's. Jack's in there, and Sam and Dean are in there as they are messengers of God's destruction. And that's pretty much what we get. They're important for that reason. That's the little tidbit we get. Now, granted, these are important tidbits. It's just I wish it was executed better and not just as an info dump at the end. And then Billy is evidently supposedly going to give them whatever kind of instructions are needed. Now, granted, I understand not trusting death to the last and fullest extent, but whatever. So we see that Chuck is kind of done on Earth too. He's still able to kind of see what's going on in the Winchester bunker and everything. And the dude at the radio shack pretty much like, I'm good, right? I'll be okay. He's like, yeah, you'll be fine. And then pretty much meteors, like from Final Fantasy Sephiroth style, Earth 2, as he's going around destroying the rest of the multiverses. And Death, of course, gives them the information that Chuck is doing that. So, Chuck already knows that Jack's involved. Or we have reasonable suspicion that Chuck would know because he was looking in on what's going on. And since even if Jack didn't use his powers, you would be pretty well assumed that that would be going on. Now, if there was something shown or even told that Chuck didn't know that, that's a different matter. But in the absence of anything like that, especially in a visual medium of being like not shown and not told, how are we able to ascertain that any of those kind of warnings, especially given that he was watching them on a goddamn TV, is sloppy and poorly executed? So now we have gotten a little bit more information, on Death's plan. Not much other than Sam and Dean are the messengers of God's destruction. Jack is used, and we had a complete filler episode with awkward long pause shots and just a whole lot of dead space in the episode. And just a useless subplot to get us to get 2 bits of information. Well, 2 important kind of scenes for information that could have been done in the beginning of the season and could have been done to be spun in a better episode. So, it's moved to its Monday nights. It will be affected by the coronavirus, so I don't know how many they have in the can at the moment, but we will have a break because of that, because they're still making it and everything. So we'll pretty much keep on to it as it's keeping on. Its episodes could probably be extended into like past June maybe. I know they were shooting for May as when the finale would go, but since it's still an ongoing thing, we'll kind of take it as it comes. But I don't know if it will make it any better or make it any worse, because I just want this to end. I actually kind of liked the break, and I hate that when I get to a TV show, and I actually am glad that there's a break like that. Like that, what we just came back from, so we'll have to see. This didn't have balls to the wall of lore breaking going on. This wasn't certain other ones where it was just like, what the hell is going on? But in how this was done, it just opens up so many holes and so many crazy things of like, why is this occurring? This could just be either sped up or expounded upon, so that way we've got more information, we know what's going on with these characters, we can get inside their heads and understand what they're feeling for everything, but we're just like, oh, here's that Kaya chick. She's back because we killed her, and now she's not dead because reasons. Death is an important aspect of the show. I understand that Supernatural plays fast and loose with that. Billy's brought that up constantly. But this even feels like, even with a season of doing pretty much greatest hits, I'm like, that wasn't even a greatest hit, and why the fuck did it come back? I'm like, what, like... it's... There's so many other ways they could have done this stuff. I don't even know. So, it'll be interesting to see where this goes from here, and how this arc... Well, I say this arc, but how this setup goes forward, and if we're going to get some other kind of weird change in the status quo that'll shift it to a new kind of reboot point. So those are my opinions on the episode. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.